Hello everyone and welcome into a new tutorial. This is a new one. I've kind of been gone for a minute. Thought I was going to be able to start a new series with some PSDs and being able to go over some tutorials on how I put a couple of designs together. It's been a while since I've walked you through this process, or any process for that matter. So I wanted to get back on here while I had a moment and walk you through my process for color correction or color grading, or well, color grading skin tones in particular. Today, as you see on the screen, I've got an image of Russell Westbrook that I'm going to be demonstrating my process. I'm going to be taking you through step by step how I get these skin tones to pop, and how to get it from looking like this to this. So without further ado, if you are new to the channel, make sure you like and subscribe. I'm going to try my best to be able to put out more content over time, but for now, I wanted to end off 2024 with this tutorial, step by step, how we do player color correction, or at least my process for color correction. So sit back, relax, open up Photoshop if you have it. If not, feel free to take notes, and yeah, let's get started. So the first thing I want to go over here is basically the step-by-step process for getting this particular image to look the way it is. Now, people always ask, it's always kind of one of those things. I'm in a couple of group chats on how to find these pictures, how to locate them. I typically go through Getty Images, and I know that a lot of people, when you go on Getty, a lot of the images you have to purchase. But fear not, I have an alternative for taking those images and basically pulling them, bringing them into Photoshop, and using the Photoshop AI version, or Photoshop beta, if you will, to be able to take out any watermarks, anything that is that shows the rights to Getty. I know it seems a little bit sketchy, but bear with me. I'm going to show you the process. It's the best way to do it. They have the best images out there in terms of sports photography, in my opinion. I know that there's a few other. I think Imagine is another outlet that you can use. It's what I use in my internship with Pro Football Focus. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get right into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this one right here. Actually, I've taken the watermarks out on both of these, so I'm going to actually take the image from the original image that I pulled, and I'm just going to drop it into Photoshop. So this is the original image, and as you can see, we'll go ahead and rename it, and I'm actually going to change it to yellow since I'm going to be tinkering with it. So I'll rename. You don't have to do this, but I'm just going to do this for demonstration's sake. Russell Westbrook demo. So immediately, the first thing that I do is I kind of take this through the wash. I notice right down here, you've got obviously your watermark, which shout out to Matthew Stockman. Great image of Russell Westbrook. I don't know if you're going to watch this video, Matthew, but great image. Great shot there, bud. And then down on the left corner, you have, it looks like an image ID. I don't know if this is the number of images of Russell Westbrook. I don't know how they do their coding there, but I like to omit this and I like to omit this. Now, obviously, when you're doing player cutouts, this doesn't matter. This is irrelevant. At least this portion is. Now, this is what you want your generative AI fill to operate with, or this is what you're going to be utilizing it for. So we're going to take our pen tool here. We're going to get down and dirty right into it. So take my pen tool, and we're just going to go around the watermark. We're going to do this, and we're going to connect it there. Easy process. We're going to right click, make selection, click OK. We're going to go to generative fill. We don't even have to type anything. We'll just generate, and then it's going to give us some iterations that we can operate with. It'll fill the space. It'll take all the elements in the image, and it'll generate what should be in that space. Now, it may tinker with the skin a little bit, but it's subtle, and you can barely tell the difference. And really, it doesn't matter. When you go through these iterations, I mean, you see a little bit more shadow on here. May make his muscle or his bicep bicep, his arm here, I guess in this instance, it'll make it a little bit more bulkier. I don't really know the word, but it doesn't really matter because all these really do a great job of good Lord, I can't even talk today. It does a tremendous job of filling the image. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to our layers bar and we are going to highlight both the generative fill that AI created and we're going to click the demo image. We're going to right click and we're going to go down to convert to smart object. And then if you want to, you can rename it. I'll go to yellow here and we will click rename and I'll put Russ Westbrook, edit. There we go. And then same process would be for this thing right here. So if you wanted to omit the numbers, we could just do this. And actually, that was a horrible mark there, but there we go. Right click, generative fill, boom, and get that to pop up. All right, so it does a good job there. We're going to add it to the Russell Westbrook layer that we already have created. We're going to convert to smart object. Again, I'll highlight it yellow because, yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's part of my process. So there we go. We got our image. Now we got it looking like this. Now we're going to do a couple of things that I would do in my process to make the image a little bit more cleaner. It's subtle differences. But definitely helps to enhance the quality of the image. And I will go up to this green layer. The folder that I have compiled is going to be where I'm going to make all my clipping masks. So this is going to be my exposure, it's going to be my brightness, it's going to be my hue and saturation. We'll get into it as the video proceeds. But this is the one I'm going to be operating with. And I would suggest if you're going through and you're wanting to do this step-by-step tutorial with the video, I would definitely have your setup looking like this in your layers bar, but that's just me. You can honestly operate with 2 photos, but for this one, we'll just do 3 here. All right, so now we're going to go up to filter and we'll go to neural filters. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to skin smoothing and we're going to drag this up. What this is going to do is it's literally what it says. It's going to smooth the skin. Some people would argue that if, when done correctly, if you do it too much, you can almost tell that the player looks a little bit, what's the word? A lot of the details on the face, especially if you see these beads of sweat right here, you can kind of see it muffles a little bit of that, so it distorts it a little bit. But I like how it looks once it's all done. Once we add all the layers, it'll make it look a little bit better. And honestly, we can bring that back in camera raw. So skin smoothing first, we've got our blur at 80, smoothness at 12%. We can honestly bring that up to 15. And then we're gonna go down to JPEG artifacts removal. And this is going to basically enhance the pixelation of the image. Sometimes when you drag an image in Photoshop, it's not necessarily clear. It'll be pixelated. So this is going to help to omit that and clean it up. So there we go. That's our first step. And then we're going to go ahead and right click. We're going to click to convert to smart object. And now we have an image to work with. Now, here's the fun part. We're going to go ahead and go up to the quick selection tool. We're going to select our subject right here. And it does a pretty decent job of selecting Russ's hair. But sometimes it's hard to tell. So if you click on it a little bit, it may be able to bring back some of those. Honestly, I can bring back some of the hair momentarily. But we're just going to go ahead and go with this for demonstration's sake, and I'm going to mask it out there. So there we go. And then if I do this and I omit these layers, this is what it looks like without all that. So as you can see, I mean, his hair, woof. It doesn't look like it's all there. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to step aside. I'm going to get all this taken care of. Then I'll come back on the other side and we'll go ahead and get this straightened out. All right, so we've got Russ cut out. I went ahead and erased some of the hair particles that looked a little iffy, if you will. And now we've got I added a color fill layer just to show you just to show what I'm going to be doing with the details. I wanted to isolate the image, so I just had to add in a background. Honestly, if you wanted to use a green, if you wanted to use a blue, red, doesn't matter what your color fill layer is. We're really just focusing on the detail that we're going to be adding. So the next step I'm going to do here, sorry, I just shook the camera. We're going to go up to filter, other, and honestly, we could use a high pass filter, and this is going to bring out the image just a little bit more. I think if you put it at 7.2 on your radius, this is going to make the image a little bit more detailed. And we'll actually go down to this high pass, and we're going to go to blend mode. We're going to add a soft light, and as you can tell, it's some parts of the image look a little bit more I don't even know what the word is, but you can tell that it looks a little bit more crisp, a little bit more detailed. It brings back a lot of the details that we lost whenever we put it through the neural filters. So yeah, it makes all the blurry portions of the image a little bit more detailed. So now we're going to go and click convert to smart object. We have our high pass filled. Now let's go through the wash cycle and let's begin to add uh, sort of the step-by-step process that we're going through. So first we're going to start with the curves layer, and I like to add just a slight S curve. This kind of, it definitely helps the skin. It's subtle differences. It's nothing drastic. This just kind of helps to highlight the skin tones, helps to bring them out. All your darks and all your mid-tone contrast or well, I guess your highlights and your mid-tone contrasts are manipulated but subtly. So the S curve is going to help with that, and we're going to actually right click on this and we're going to create a clipping mask so it'll go directly to the skin. So like I said, bring this level down a little bit, bring the top level up, and then we'll bring this one down. You have 3 points that you're operating with. You can honestly go over to your blues since the jersey is blue, and we're going to mess with it just a little bit, but nothing too much. Again, S curve, boom, boom. And I'm noticing this. I'm going to take this out too. So I will get that masked out real quick. So go down here with our pen tool. We're going to take this. We're going to line up as best as we can. Obviously, I'm flying through this. So you don't have to be fast with it. You can take your time with it. But for demonstration's sake, it might be a little bit of a messy mask at first. We're going to try to get this all masked out here. So there we go. There's that. Every time I do one of these demo videos, I feel like Bob Ross. I'm talking smooth and subtle. Probably going to add some lo-fi music to help enhance my voice here. I know I've got the voice of Eeyore right now. All right, Command I, invert the mask. There we go. We might just do this one more time. We'll go up to our quick selection. It's going to highlight Russ here. Boom. And then since select them. We'll click mask. And let's go up to here. Let's go to filter, other, minimum. And any of the marks where so like for example, that last little piece that I cut out, you notice that there was a little red streak from the background that was still, you could kind of subtly see it next to Russ's uniform and the arm sleeve. It's going to omit that. So we're going to click OK on that. We'll go ahead and click convert to smart object. And now we have the best cutout we can produce there. So now we want to add a selective colors layer. That's the second thing we'll do here. And then we're just going to start tinkering with the colors that are present. So reds, yellows, blues, those are kind of going to be the main focus. We do tinker with a little bit of the white contrast as well, but we'll get there in momentarily. So we're going to bring these reds up. It really just depends upon the figure that you're operating with. I like a certain red tone to the skin tones. So I definitely stay within the red and yellows to kind of bring out the reds of the skin tone. It's kind of the distinct look I've been rolling with in a lot of the compositions I put together, but you can definitely tinker with it as you see fit. But this is just kind of the look that I like for my compositions. So bring out the blues a little bit more. Um, that looks all right. They're really not seeing much of a difference with the yellows. Blacks, probably bring that up just, or bring that back down to -20. Cyan, probably up to 12. And then we'll go to our whites. This is really going to tinker with the arm sleeve. Don't want it too yellow, so we'll bring that down to -30. Blacks, probably bring that down a little bit, probably -25. Magneta, uh, we'll probably go up a little bit. Let's go to 10. 10 should be good. Cyan, not really needing to tinker with cyan. So there is kind of your first two things that you're going to be adding in. And then we'll do this. We'll go to our vibrance and we'll bring that up just a bit to 10. Saturation up to 2. So if I, just for demonstration's sake, if I turn these off, boom, 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 you already notice a little bit of a difference in how the player looks. So now we're going to add our curves layer for the eyes and the teeth, and we're going to go step by step on how we get that to look a certain way. We want to make sure that both portions of the image are white, or at least try to get them as bright as we can. That's kind of I would say that that's one of the most important parts of making one of the player comps is being able to bring out the eyes of the player as well as the teeth. I always like to make sure they have a certain look. Want them to look clean. So yeah, I definitely, this is one of the most important parts for me. So with the curves layer, we're just bringing that up so ever so slightly up at the top. And then we're going to invert this mask. So you'll click Command I. If you have a MacBook, I think the same would apply on a Windows. And then rename, we're going to go curves, eyes, boom. And then we'll get to work on the eyes. Bring the flow up on this brush that we're going to be adding up to 100%. So with the eyes, now that we have our brush, we want to go ahead and go in here, bring this down to, I think 7 is what we'd want to operate with here. And then we're just going to go over the portions of the eyes that we are wanting to manipulate. We'll bring all the white space that you see. We're going to get rid of that, or brush over it. There we go. And then same for this portion. Boom. Boom. There we go. And right there. And then for the teeth, go over the teeth. And you want to make sure, obviously, you see that, you see the little ridges that kind of divide his teeth. I kind of go in accordance to where those ridges are, so that it makes, you don't want to brush straight through all the teeth, because it'll just look weird. These little black ridges separate, the teeth, so you want to make sure that you're going over each individual tooth. And I know that sounds weird, but it definitely makes a difference whenever you're brushing over them. You want to make sure that there's some sort of distinction between each tooth that you're brushing over, as weird as it sounds. So try to make sure that there's separation whenever you're brushing over these. So zoom over those. And then on the other side of this, I'm going to go ahead and add our hue and saturation layer. So let me just guide through this and then meet you on the other side with the hue and saturation. So Rust definitely looks weird with just the curves layer added, but fear not, we're going to add in the hue and saturation layer. We're going to go Command I for the hue and saturation mask. We're going to Option click, left click on the mask, replace layer mask, click yes. Up to our hue and saturation, we are going to bring down the whites, and then honestly, we don't even have to mess with the lightness portion. As you can see, it already makes a huge difference. Boom, boom, perfect. That looks really good. And then, in my opinion, and then what we'll do is actually, I see a little bit of darkness there. I think that's just his eye. So I guess we don't even have to mess with this little portion right here. So I think it looks good as is. That's as clear as you can get it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add, do I want to go exposure here? Yeah, we'll add an exposure mask. So now we're going to mess with the shadows of the image, and we're going to bring this exposure mask all the way down. Typically, you like to keep it around -7 to -8 here. And we're going to go Command I. We can actually rename that if you want to. Exposure X, and then we'll just go Jersey Shadows. And then what we'll do is we'll go up to our brush tool. We're going to thin this brush because we're going to be going over just these little edges right here. As you can see where my pointer is, we're going to try to bring out the shadows that are present on both the jersey and the skin. So you want it to be in alignment with where the lines are showing. And then for our flow, bring it down to 6. We don't want it to be too aggressive. We want it to be subtle. But we'll start to work on both the skin and Russ's jersey as well. So let's get to work on that. And we're just going to brush over where that shadow is shown. So straighten this out with the ridges. And as you can see, it starts to bring out the ridges. It may be a little aggressive and we can mess with the opacity. But once you put it all together, it tends to look really good. So there is that. And then for the side features, shadow up here. We'll do this where the marks are. And then mark down here. And right here at the dimples. And then we'll probably want to do it right over here as well. And then same goes for his muscles. Boom. Actually, kidding. We'll go on the side of the arms here. There we go. And then right down here. And we can honestly widen out the brush for this portion. Well, that doesn't look good. So let's go to undo here. Angle it that way. See if that works. Okay, we won't even mess with that portion there. Maybe for this one, we might. All right, maybe not. Won't go there. All right, so if I remove that, honestly, you can tell there's a difference. We'll bring down the opacity because it seems a little too aggressive. I think 30% would be just fine. Again, if you remove it and add it, you can notice a subtle difference. I actually might bring that up to 45 just to make it a little bit more present. Boom, 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 boom. So you notice a little bit of a difference there. All right, turn that back on. And then we'll go up to, I'll do this one here, which is kind of this portion you don't have to do. But again, like I said at the top, you know, one of my favorite things about, or one of the things that I do is I like to bring out the reds in my player comps. So with the hue saturation layer, we're going to click on the skin and then we're going to do this. Notice how if I bring it down just a little bit, it's going to make his skin a little bit more red. That's the look I kind of look for in my compositions. And what I'll do is I'll click Command I to invert that mask. We'll select our brush tool. We're gonna bring our flow up to 40% because you don't want it to be too aggressive, but something subtle. And then we'll increase the size of our brush. So right up here, increase, boom, boom. You can hit the bracket button on your keyboard. It'll bring up the brush size, and then we'll just go over the skin portion to bring out the red colors of the skin tone. So brushing over that, make sure you get as much as you can without tampering with the jersey. There we go. Perfect. I might even touch up his hair a little bit. Doesn't really do much, but just do it for this demonstration's sake. All right. So there is that. So already, I mean, we're noticing a little bit of a difference. I'll select the original image that we're working with. If I turn this off, that's the original image. This is what we got so far. So there's that. So you notice a drastic difference in terms of the original to what we have now. So yeah, bear with me. I know it looks a little artificial, but we're gonna make it look a little bit better and a little bit cleaner with the couple more additions that we make. So go back into your folder. We've already got roughly 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 layers that we've added to the player. So now we're going to add a brightness and contrast layer. We're going to bring that up, at least the brightness portion. And we're just going to go over the most vibrant parts. Wherever there's white, except the eyes, we're going to bring out the light that is illuminating off the skin. So Command I, invert, and then flow is at 40%. Let's actually bring that up to 60. And then we're just gonna brush in those portions where the skin is getting a little bit of a reflection. Sometimes I just decide to go over the face just to see what it looks like, and it definitely brings out the skin a little bit more. And then we'll just get this back portion of his arm, a little bit of the jersey, back right over there, and then down the jersey right there as well. And then I think for the most part that looks pretty good. Bring this back a little bit. There we go. And then what we'll do from there, so we've already got the brightness layer. Obviously you notice a drastic difference. Where that light illuminates, pretend that there's a light shining down. You want that back portion of the body to look as if it is under a light. So you want to brighten the portions that are exposed by the light the most. And honestly, you can add a little bit of brightness to his hair as well. So that's why I do that. And then if you turn that off, turn it back on, obviously it looks like there's a light right there. So there's the reasoning for that. And then we'll actually, the yellow that's showing on his arms, I'm going to get another hue and saturation mask, and I'm going to click on those yellows. And what I'll do is I'll bring down the saturation there. Really, that doesn't do me any justice. We'll condense the yellow portion, and I'm only going to guide it to where that yellow can be manipulated that's showing on his arms, because you don't want it to show up in the jersey right there. So see if that'll do anything there. And I'll do this. I'll bring this down, and wherever that shows up. And then finally, what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna add in a fill mask. So we're gonna go up to layer, new layer, fill. And then we are going to go up to our search bar, fill, boom, overlay, and we'll we'll undo that. We'll go to fill again, and you want to make sure that it is at, we'll do soft light on that one. And then soft light there, and then our dodge and burn tool, which is on the side here. And then in the portions where the skin is the brightest, just going back over that to bring out the lights there. And we'll do it with the highlights. And same with the hair up top. Boom. Bring out the lights on the side. There we go. We might even go over the jersey a little bit. Brighten up the jersey just a little bit more. And there you have it. So that is kind of an overview of the process of what I do. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 layers that we operate with there on an individual player color correction. So once I take the folder off, there's your comparison. Boom, right there. Boom, boom. So yeah, that's the process, guys. That is how I do my player color corrections. If you want to leave some feedback, feel free. And I'll even do this. I'm going to turn this layer off right here. And that is what it should look like once all those layers are added. But yeah, I appreciate you guys' time. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and provide some feedback. Let me know how I did and offer any insight that you can. I know I don't talk much during my tutorials. I just like to get into it. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it and stay tuned for the next one. Take care.